This is very, very exciting, folks, to see something like this on live TV. The leopard is only meters away from a small group of Manyala, and he's dead still. Look at the ears, complete focus. He's moving his feet to get the best position. Low he goes. Manyala just have to pick the right direction. The wind is swirling, it's picking up. Makes it very confusing for an animal to detect the presence of the predator, where he is when it's swirling. It's very, very hard. And they need their sense of smell. Not only the sense of smell, but the sound. The wind is making the grass move and the leaves twitch. And these animals, as camouflaged as they are, rely heavily on their hearing to discover the presence of a predator. And when the wind is moving, it makes everybody very, very uneasy. Looks like the Nyala are a little... Did you hear that bark? That whoa! I'm not very good with my Nyala bark today. I think my mouth's a bit dry in this heat. But I don't know if you heard that boom. Very similar to a deep bark, like the kudu and the bushbuck are related. Unfortunately, it looks like the Nyala have moved off just a little bit, but they still have no idea where this male leopard is. That was jaw in the jaw stuff, drop the jaw stuff. That was fantastic. So we got a call from one of the guys while we were sitting at the dam having a look at the hippo. We were really enjoying the sight of the hippo there. We were in the shade, but now we've come across here. We've managed to got a standby, and we came right in as the action was unfolding. Fantastic stuff. We have got a second leopard joining. There is a second leopard coming in from the left here. I don't think that he has any idea of the first leopard. I'm not sure what the name is, but there's something's going to happen, guys. This is Hosana, I believe, and something is about to go down, folks. Watch very, very closely. They've now both got wind of each other, but there should be some submissive behavior from the one on the left. If you could hear it, I don't know if you can hear it, there's some growling going on. Definitely the younger of the two leopards is approaching, and he is behaving in not being aggressive. Let's see. The bigger of the two leopards, the one in the back, is definitely showing signs of aggression. Body language, facial expressions. The jaw is open, he's growling. There's a deep rumble coming from his tummy. This is fantastic stuff. Hosana now doesn't seem too perturbed. He's a young leopard. I believe he's only 21 months. I believe that this is the son and the other is the dad. So there seems to be some tolerance. Fantastic to see. Just like me, the mouth is dry, need a little bit of water. There's a very hot day here in the Sabi Sands. That is fantastic visual. You see how the leopard laps the water up. Nice and muddy, murky water. But you've got to drink. We don't all have water on tap. Animals have to make use of what they can, and these little pans are very, very important for the survival of most of the antelope and animals that we see. Leopards can get a lot of the moisture that they attain from the blood that they get from the antelope that they eat. Impala, for an example, there's a lot of moisture in the blood, and this is a thirsty animal. He was around this morning, and we were hoping to come out this afternoon and find him. So we did make an effort to come into this area, but I wasn't expecting to see what we're seeing right now. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. The larger of the two leopards is completely relaxed now. There's no behavior. He is just sitting there, but definitely far bigger than his son. Panting, the heat, but the beautiful coloration of that animal, almost impossible to see. Can you go again with that question, please? very, very thirsty. It's possible that he hasn't drunk since this morning. I know he was running around away from the pan earlier on after he was left this morning, and it's possible it's been a few hours in the heat that he's just been waiting to avoid obviously walking through the heat of the day. It's a big effort for a cat to walk in the heat, so they avoid it as much as they can, but when the need finally arises, they have to come and drink. Hopefully he leaves some for the rest of us. You hear the sounds of a fork-tailed drongo there. He's busy bombing the leopard, also known as the honey badger of the sky, the fork-tailed drongo. He doesn't heed for anybody. He will chase the biggest and scariest of them all, and often a very important alarm call in the bush. You hear that alarm call. It's not a typical whistling or communicative call. It's a typical loud, rasping shout, basically indicating to the leopard that it's been seen. And quite often, alarm call is enough to force these animals to move away from whatever it is they might be doing. If you see the colors on them, they are animals of stealth and stalking, and once they have been detected, they generally move away from the area or pretend to not have been seen at all. In this case, the male is now lying down. So I didn't get the name there. I think Fubi, Susie, terribly sorry. I'm not getting the best signal here. Floozy with an S. How long? Sorry, I'm not quite getting the name. Fluvi. How long do leopards live in the wild? A male leopard probably can live a little bit less than a female, but between, I would say, 14 and 15 years would be the average a leopard could live. Females maybe a little bit longer, males a little bit less, maybe up to 10 years, all dependent on their strength, on their ability to survive. Most leopards, oh, there he's yawning, fantastic. Most leopards are very, very formidable and very, very adapted animals to survive, but if they get injured or die of natural causes through injury, obviously they live a lot shorter periods. But on average, I'd say a male 10 to 12, females a little bit longer, 14 to 15 years in the wild. Look at that posturing. That is all body language. All body language. Would you want to mess with that? Look at those teeth, the size of the throat. It's no mistaking a male leopard for a female leopard by the size of the head, by the size of the jowls. And I don't know if you can quite pick up on that sound, if it's coming through there, but he is just giving light grunts, and he's basically indicating dominance. He's not looking at the other leopard though. Lynn, how do leopards tell friend from foe? It's very difficult to say. Most of the communication in the bush is done through smell, but lions, leopards, they also have a visual recognition of each other. I've seen lions particularly walking towards each other and behaving in a very aggressive manner to the one that it's approaching, or the one that's being approached, responding very aggressively, and then suddenly something triggers and that whole behavior changes, and it goes from aggression and posturing to affection and love. And in leopards, they are solitary animals. Males are dominant and they have territories. They can see another male by his size, by his posturing, and if they encounter each other on territorial boundaries, or if the big male encounters another male in his boundary, there will be serious aggression that will be displayed. Obviously, females are far smaller, and that big male there could tell this was a much smaller leopard. So just by posturing, just by displaying and making a noise, the reaction of the other leopard will indicate a lot, will indicate aggression, will indicate, are you a foe, are you a friend? And obviously Hosana, he behaved in a very childlike manner, almost oblivious to the fact that there's a larger leopard sitting in the grass, when any other leopard, female or male, of a breeding size, would react in a different manner, would posture back, would obviously become more submissive. He didn't show too much submissive behavior when he walked up, but obviously sensing it's his dad, hanging out in the same area, and obviously there's a smell. He's probably smelt him around for the last couple of hours, and the wind has been swirling. So yes, there's definitely a smell communication there that they would have connected on. But I don't know, I'm not a leopard, so these are all things that we can read about and experience, but how do they really experience it? How do they really pick up on those cues? We have a look at the guy on the left again. Hosana, he's beautiful there, sitting in the open. Look at that light. It's getting a little bit later in the afternoon now, and the temperature's definitely dropped from before. He's now got a belly full of water. He's feeling a lot cooler. He's still panting. The animal has its mouth quite wide open, and wind coming in over that, very wet. Ah, there we go. Nice big yawn and a scratch. Now, if that's not relaxed, I don't know. Up he gets. Maybe it's still a little bit too hot to be sitting in the sun. But with the mouth open, as I said before, wind blowing in over the moist mouth cools them, which is quite an important trait for these animals. They don't sweat like we do, so they have to pant. If any of you have ever had a dog at home and you've taken it for a walk or a run, it has to pant, and this big long tongue hangs out the side of the mouth and lolls from left to right, and the wind blowing over that is its method of cooling down. And both of these animals are panting quite heavily, and I would say it's primarily because the wind picked up that they started becoming more active. As I said in the start of this little leopard encounter, the wind plays an important part in the deception, because it masks the approach of the leopard. It confuses the animal. They can't hear. The wind swirls the smell around. Kudu, Nyala, specifically, they have really big ears for hearing. They can hear the slightest movement in the grass. Even the leopards are very, very stealthy. The slightest movement can give them away. When the wind is swirling like that, often you'll see cats. I've seen them lying flat, even on a hot day. The wind picks up, and suddenly the animals get up and they start hunting. And often they move in the direction of the wind or across the wind, and that helps them to pick up the scent of prey that might be upwind from them. So he looks like he's had a long day. I didn't do it. A question, is it normal for Hosana to be social with other leopards? He's still a young cat, so he's still learning the ropes. He needs to learn the boundaries of how to behave with other leopards. They do, as they get older, become completely solitary, apart from when they are mating, and they need to understand the ins and outs of how to greet, how to approach, how to back down, how to just be around other leopards. He is going to be a big boy one day. He needs to know how it works, and learning from his dad. This is not something I've seen before, a young male leopard hanging out with an adult male leopard. It's not something I've seen before, but the Sabi Sands is a wonderful place for leopard viewing, and I think through his interaction with this male, he's learning how far he can go. And the large of the two, sorry I forget the name, I'll get these names down at some point, he behaved in a way, and these lines are drawn in the sand. When we walk, when we have kids, our kids learn from our behavior as adults what they can and can't do, and if we don't discipline them or we don't react in a certain way, they'll cross that boundary, and slowly but surely over time we as adults learn how to behave in society, and leopards have to do the same. When they are with their mothers, they're very social with their mothers. 2, 3, 4 leopards could be. They learn how to play, they learn how to socialize, they learn how to fight and stalk. The mother also teaches them through her growls and her aggressive behavior when it is acceptable to behave in a certain way and when it isn't. And just by her body language, they can learn if there's danger. By her body language, they can learn if they must move away. By their body language, they learn if there's something to hunt. So this is something that is learned. There's a lot of instinct involved, but there's also a lot of learning. And the longer they learn, the more successful they become. So